Hello,
Hello.
everybody. Welcome back to Productivity Mastery, the show that's bringing you some of the coolest people on the planet with exceptional vibe, with crazy, meaningful stories. And we have conversations. We drink coffee. This is specialty coffee. I really love it from Ethiopia. Um, that's what they say. So today I'm having a really interesting person, super cool person that I would say I don't know how many countries I met her in. One of these people that every time I meet her, she has good energy. She's bringing a crowd of people with her. She's speaking at conferences. She's moderating stages. She has all these cool projects she's a part of, and she's a great networker, a skill that surprisingly not many people are good at. So I decided to invite her to the podcast to share some of her wisdom, some of her stories, and hopefully inspire some of us to take action and move forward personally and professionally. She'd be like, "Good morning."
Good morning, Stein. Thank you. I'm blushing now. Literally.
So let's start a conversation from there. What's one really good thing that happened to you already this week?
Already this week, well, I met my friends. I think it's always nice they're getting married, so I had a really, really great dinner with them. So I think that's a wonderful thing that happened. What about you?
I managed to go and do the proofreading of the whole book, the draft of our upcoming book. So yesterday I pushed myself and I went through all the chapters with fixing the commas and you know words and
I
everything.
know.
So that's you know to check off this box is like, oh my god, this is so good.
Congratulations. That's a big one. And the book is launching soon, right? So,
Absolutely. June 18 is the date that we set. So exciting after 2 years in the making. But this podcast is not about Miss Zivile. By the way, she's a host. She's a host of a great podcast called Perception Paradox. And, part of the MC hosting, you know, sickness is that sometimes you start asking questions
sorry.
because you're
Yeah.
curious. But hey, you're on the spotlight now, and I want to know about your story. I want to learn about you. And maybe let's start from kind of the deeper questions. Can you think of some life defining moments? Something that maybe an event, experience, seminar, or course you joined that were defining for you, shaping you as an individual?
That's a tough one. I think every experience does shape us as individual and allows us to grow. If there was one major one, I think it's a cumulative approach, right? The more you expose yourself to experiences and are open to learn from them, the more kind of it all aligns for you. Maybe for me, the major influence that really made me who I am today was being always curious about the world and putting the effort to move abroad. So I've been living in multiple countries. And no, I did not have the conditions where like everything is aligned. You have a job there ready. You just buy the ticket and go. It was always with some kind of adventure. But I would say maybe one of the key moments was back in 2016. I was having a great job, great team, and everything. But I knew that something was off because I was not really anymore fulfilling my needs professionally. I wanted to try different things, but I didn't know what they want to try. And all my friends were writing the business plans for Erasmus for young entrepreneurs to get like scholarship grant to build business. And I saw it as a great opportunity, like to do the change. I had no clue why, what they want to build. So I'm like, there is a need for the social media platform. I can write a business plan. So I sit down, I wrote the business plan in 2 days. I send it out for approval and I've got the grant. And then in no time, I think it was in 1 week, I moved to Vienna. I do recall like it was yesterday. I'm calling my dad, so I'm moving to Vienna. What? Why? I'm gonna try to build a business. Back then, I would say I'm gonna try, and yeah. And then he said when. I said next week. So I had to quit my job in 1 week. I had to move to another country and everything. So I think that was a very good moment in my life where that showed me like everything is possible.
Were you afraid?
I was curious. I think it was the second time I moved to a new country in 1 week. So I wasn't really afraid because I think I always see this kind of what can I win? What can I learn? rather what can happen. So I think I did not really have my mind there.
From my observation, you are a kind of person that's very good in very good at making friends and making connections. When did you learn this skill?
I guess it was since childhood. At the beginning, I was quite a child in my own world, I would say. But then in school, somehow I remember myself having a multiple groups of friends from high school, from my kind of extracurricular activities. And I always thought that we all have to be friends and you cannot leave someone outside. So I had many friends back then. And yeah, I put a lot of energy and tried to be everywhere at the same time. And as we know now, it's not possible in life. You really cannot be everywhere all the time. So maybe it was from childhood that I just was curious about people and connection, communication. Everyone is so different. Why do we do things different way and so on? And that led me through life, I guess.
And if you can reflect now, what do you think you do the right way that helps you
Mhm.
to make friends and connections and to
Mhm.
sustain this network?
I think since early age, I've never thought what I can get from those friends and people, but more like, okay, what can we learn together? Maybe there is something I can help you with. And I saw it more as a mutual connection tool rather than one side communication. So that's what I was reflecting on that, like, why is that happening? But I mean, like, I'm generally interested because I think that we can always go and try to sell something and try to gain something from someone, but it's a very short term transaction. At the end of the day, life is all about a long term kind of commitment, communication, connection. That's what makes it easier later on. And I just put my curiosity and care for others and seeing how can I kind of serve in a way more than my own kind of needs to sell something. Because if you get build a connection, the selling part, whatever, it comes naturally, I guess, if you're doing the right thing. So I just stick to my true values,
I,
and yeah.
I really hope people listening hear that well. I'm going to emphasize on it once again. You play the long-term game when it comes to connections and network, and you try to be curious, to listen to people. People are not hurt. You are not listened to. So showing curiosity, showing care, approaching it with empathy, approaching it not with let me see what I can gain, but just being curious about people is the first step. How many startup and tech conferences or business events you've been to where you just there's a new person, the first thing they do, they already have their business card in their hand, and
It's
they
ready.
start,
It's signed there.
it's ready. It's like, I don't even know your name, mister. Like, can we just talk? Like,
Yeah.
what is this 5 minute pitch? Like, no, like,
But I
let's
think,
get
yeah.
there.
So, but there are different ways we can see that, right? So, I was speaking to someone and someone said, yeah, let's just be direct. It's not a charity and so on. I'm not talking about the charity or anything. There are different ways of doing business. Let's say if you go to Mobile World Congress, there is like very pure intention of the conference is showing the technology, finding the partners and selling, which is very different way you approach it. But usually in life, regularly, we don't want to be always pitched and have the sales. And I think it's very important to look at through a different way when it comes to network and sales, maybe negotiations. It's not negotiation. At the end of it, you have two parties that meet and we want both of us get the best situation out of it. How can we do that? We can only do that if we don't want to cheat someone and if we don't want to kind of if we don't feel better than someone else because we're all the same. We come from different backgrounds, but let's say on negotiation table, we are trying to see where can we meet best. So I think it's all about it kind of ends up being all about just being true.
You're doing a lot of events. Uh,
Yeah.
people who are listening right now, you can meet Zivile at many events as a speaker, as a moderator, being there, as they said, usually with a big crowd of people around her. I wonder, how do you mentally prepare for such an experience? Just if you can kind of explain, okay, you've been booked to be an MC at an event. How do you prepare so you can get the most out of the
Mhm.
event?
So if actually I'm doing now a bit less event consciously because events because it takes a lot of energy. And if you want to build something on a site, so you really need to harmonize that, so you cannot be all the time on the road, unless that's the kind of a season, like for you, you're gonna get the book tour. So I'm pretty sure I will see you in every different country every second day, something like that. How do I prepare personally? So first, I guess I just set my mind into that event, and if I would have a role there, like emceeing or moderating, I try first to understand what's the idea of that event and what kind of value we can create through my interaction for the participants. So that's where I start. And then I start also putting myself into the audience, what I would like to learn, what I would like to feel while being in the audience if I would see myself on stage. And that's a kind of a starting point for me. It's a bit visualization, in a way, manifestation, what kind of energy I want to bring. And from there, I go towards the content. If I'm alone, so then I'm trying to put different scenarios. What if I come and start the stage opening and then everyone is just still gathering and super grumpy because, I don't know, they had a long night out, or it's the opposite, everyone is super energetic. So I have different scenarios and then I just tag along, whatever it feels like. So it's kind of a long process, I would say, but it starts here. Same like learning a new trick. If you're an athlete or preparing for your exam, I'm trying to manifest and to visualize the result and the experience I want to create. And from there, I break it into the parts.
Do you really visualize?
Yes. I don't know how I've got this skill. I've got this when I was a kid. I think the major influence was I don't know if you know the book, Jules Verne's Captain Grant. It's a book about a guy sailing across the ocean. I think I should read it now because I've read it when I was 6 years old, maybe. And it was a really, really sad book. And that brought me to visualization because I saw there are no borders in life. It means that I can go out of my home country, Lithuania, and see the world. And then I was imagining myself going in that sailboat and sailing. I don't know. I remember that. And later on, I got to know that visualization is the key and the thing with manifestation. So, yeah.
I love it. So now, before you go to an event, part of the process is to visualize what it did look like if it was a success.
I think it's more like also to see what kind of experience I want to bring to the audience and to the people. It's the same like I used to do a lot of sports. I still do. Like when every time I would be learning a new trick, like athletes usually do that. Not all of them consciously do that. You really think about every single rotation of your body. So for me, it's the same also with events. I would always think about from the beginning till the end how that event will look like, how it's going to run through, what are emotions around me, and what how I would like behave and so on. So it's kind of producing in my own mind.
What are people doing wrong when it comes to preparing to go to a tech conference or a big business event? What have you seen and observed
Yeah.
um, people doing wrong?
I think the major thing everyone does a bit, I don't know, like could improve would be how do you show up in the event. A lot of us, it's not even about the event, it's about how do we show up in life. We all think that things will happen to us, but if we're not ready for that and if we really haven't prepared, nothing will happen. We need to be proactive, to show the action. So when it comes to the events, I meet many people there, from founders to investors to regular attendees who came to the event to learn. And very often people just come to the event without preparation. What do I mean by that? Why am I going there? What's my purpose? What's my target audience if I'm a startup, let's say? What are my goals out of it? And then based on that, you can really nicely find the people you would like to connect, find the program you would like to listen to, and really get most out of it. So that would be the first one. People don't prepare for that. And I think going for an event starts already 2 weeks before that you start preparing and figuring out why am I going there. So if there is no purpose, maybe you can stay at home and do your work. I
Hmm.
think. I mean, it can be just the purpose to connect to people, but I think doing the homework is pretty important. And then doing the action, reaching out to people, especially if you're going to bigger event, because people get booked, and the most value you can get always just approaching interesting people from whom you can learn, with whom you can share, and whom you can also help because you work maybe in the same field, or you want to, like we spoke with you earlier, right? Or you want to become a professional MC. So how can I become that professional MC, approach people who are speaking and learn from them and see maybe there is something you can help to learn from them.
No, absolutely. I love you mentioning the sediation for the event. And
Hmm.
usually when I'm going to an event, there might be multiple objectives competing, sometimes objectives that I can get out of the event. For example, there's some great conferences or events where the content is amazing, but this is competing with me having to meet people and connect with people, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
when you listen the whole day, you cannot really have conversation. So it's like, which one is, what do I want to get out of it? I mean, I'm usually the person that will probably join a couple of speeches because I want to see what's out there as a professional speaker, and I'm more learning from the speaker, not the content of as such,
Hmm.
but more the presentation skills, the approaches, the topics that are interesting, so I can constantly keep the axe sharp. Um, but for the most part, I'm there for the people, and
Yeah.
literally, I'm going to prepare and see who's going there. Um, who are people from my network that I can reconnect with, and who are some new people I can meet. I generally use this tactic. I'm gonna, I don't know, make a post on LinkedIn and just tag
Oh,
all
yeah.
the people that they're going, and I'm gonna ask, "Hey, anybody want to drink coffee and just catch up?" Um, and of course, you have some objectives. If you're a startup and you're raising
For
soon,
sure. For sure.
of course, you want to meet a lot of investors. I'm not saying you shouldn't sell, but also if you're a bit more conscious, you might want to start building relationship a little bit earlier. If you're raising now, maybe it's too late to start reaching out to investors, right? I mean, maybe you wanted to reach out 6 months or 12 months ago and start to befriend people to
Depending on
to
the
build
round.
a
Yeah.
connection, right? So um I'm not saying you cannot find somebody on the spot and just, but maybe you want to be a little bit more planned and say, well, who do I want to meet and make a positive impression on? Like, because people buy from people,
Hmm.
ideas, projects, whatever. So they want to know that you're a cool person, and I love your approach. How can I deliver value? How can I be
But
a giver?
yeah. And it's also nothing bad, like if you're a founder or if you have a school product and you want to sell and so on. But it's just how do you approach that? Start from listening and start from conversation and understanding the needs of either investor or the people for whom it potentially would be your product, rather than just jumping straight into the sale. It just, I don't know, that will make you go further in life than just one time sale of all those type 10 trials. So yeah, but yeah, I agree about you reconnect. So I think that's another very important part, that when you go to the conferences that you, and also in between, that you invest time of reconnecting and keeping in touch with some people in your network, not only just having this kind of one time appearance, engaging, sending a message when you, I don't know, see the topic or content you share together and so on. So I think it's also very key crucial part, if you're in this game for the long run, to keeping those connections and reconnecting instead of always chasing for the new ones.
What do you do if you go to an event but you don't know anybody?
Usually that doesn't happen, but actually it happened to me this year. And it was very interesting because I've just, yeah, it happened in February. When I went to the Mobile World Congress. So I usually attend startup events, so I don't really go to the corporate and big events unless I have a speaking gig. And I was very curious, so I've got invited to moderate the panel, and I did not really do a big announcement that I'm really going to be there. Who wants to connect? I knew some people around, and I knew that 4 years from now is happening, but I said I'm gonna visit them after my talk is done, and it was very cool. I was literally not in my comfort zone because it's all corporate, it's all about the telco, not my cup of tea. What I did, I was walking around and talking to people. I don't know. I was approaching, what are you building? What are you doing? Why is your technology leading right now? How do you get new clients? I was just asking questions. Why do you do what you do? And it was incredible because different mindset, different perspective, different intrinsic motivation. Because startup is still a lot about this vibe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. We're all friends, and so on. And that was very purely professional, very salesy conference that taught me a lot, because it's not that one thing is better than another, it's how do we combine it. So I just go and talk to people. if I want to. If I don't want to, I just listen to the talks. That's it.
What would be your advice to people who are more maybe introverted? They
Uh-huh.
they are not so good in starting conversations,
Mhm.
like but they go to an event and they don't know anybody.
Yeah, I don't think that I've always been very good at this. I always sometimes be like, "Oh my god, so what do I do now here? How whom should I approach?" So usually try to approach the most friendly people in the room, and then that's it. That's how it all starts, and the rest is history. I do recall myself going to some first business networking events, and I was just like, "So what do I have to talk right now?" I was transitioning my career. I had my hobbies, but I wasn't really sure which direction I'm gonna take. It was quite some time ago, so I would be just like, "So what's your story?" There were some awkward moments, but then one event leads to another, and then you learn more and more to keep that conversation. And we are all human beings and we love to be listened. So learn how to listen and ask questions. And I think, and the rest will be more clear later on.
And this is usually the thing. You just have to start a conversation.
Yes.
I was in a networking event literally last week, and people like you and me, Zivile, we can talk to anybody. It's so natural to us. I don't care where am I. I can go to any group,
Yeah.
but now I'm just watching the room. I'm observing, and I'm like, oh, look at this single person that just like kind of not knowing what to do. They check their phone because they're uncomfortable, right? And I usually go to these people, I start to
Yeah.
talk to them, and then I have this game. I challenge these people to go and talk to people. And
I
it's
do that too. That's super cool because sometimes I feel like it's natural, but we all have been in situation where we felt uncomfortable, and somehow I have this feeling like I don't want other people feel uncomfortable, especially if I'm part of the circle, and we are. No matter where you come, when you enter the room of some kind of event, you become part of it. You want it or not, you are part of this whole energy. So, like, if someone is out of sync and no don't know how to start the conversation, and you know how to do that, why don't go and help that person? Because you've been helped multiple times while being awkwardly in some kind of room where you don't know where to start. So I think it's all about being a good observer and not thinking about me, because that's not about life. Is not about me. Life is about all of us in humanity, and yeah. So put your ego aside and just go out there and learn what's out in the world, and the rest will come if you're intentional.
and just to clarify here, it's not natural. You're not the only person that feels like that. It's not natural to to be alone in a room, not knowing anybody, and to have the natural urge to go and to disrupt this little group of four people and talk to them. So your
That's
body is going to
hard.
tell you, don't do that. Don't do that. You'll
Yes.
get rejected. Like you have all these excuses. Oh, I'm going to disturb them. Why should they listen to me? Da, 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 da. Your mind is chattering, right? But what I would invite you to think about is, what if you switch the script a little bit? It's kind of the same in sales, and you're kind of set the intention. If I join this group, I'm going to deliver value for the group. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to share something good. I'm going to connect them to some people. So me entering the group is actually a win. You know, that's why I
Yeah.
tell myself.
Good. Good. Keep telling that. No, but that's true. I mean, and it's not like I do remember the uncomfortable conversations. It's not like it was always this way, and there are still some kind of different setting where you need just to uh, put that fear away and put your curiosity first and just go for it. And the more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes. That's it. It's like a muscle. You just train it, I guess.
A couple of hacks I can offer. First of all, the
What
coffee
are
machine. The coffee machine. That's the easy one.
Mhm.
Like line up for coffee. uh, Everybody's alone at the coffee place, and you can always say, "Oh, what's up? Getting a latte?" And it doesn't matter what you say. That's the thing.
Yeah.
People are like, "What should I tell people?" Like, doesn't matter what you say. Just say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I love your blazer. It's amazing." Like, give a little compliment. That's another one. Give a little compliment. Like, just something that you like about the person, and then you start a conversation. So, what do you do? Okay, um, crack a joke. Especially, by the way, with high value people, celebrities, super. Like, I mean, jokes are the
Mhm.
best. Have you had any
Yeah.
experience, Julia, you want to share?
Oh
with
my
high value
god.
people, like
I don't know. I had a lot of them, like super random, like misrecognizing or just. I would need to think about it, but it would always occasionally happen. Either I won't recognize someone, or I would just put my a bit of a sarcastic joke vibes. I don't know. I think there was. I don't remember now exact to be honest situation, but there were some, or there are
have you
some I
watched
cannot tell.
this sitcom Silicon Valley?
Yes, I did.
So remember
Um,
there was this finance guy. I forgot his character name, but the actor himself, he's not in tech. He doesn't know anything about tech and startups. He's just an actor, right? So he
mhm.
had this situation that he was at a tech event and he met Elon Musk,
No
and
way.
then he meets
Yeah,
him and he's like, "Hey man, so what's your name?" I'm
I missed
Elon.
that from that
Yeah,
episode.
no, it's not an episode. It's real. It's the actor
It
in his
was real.
personal
Oh
life.
wait.
In
Ah,
his personal
no
life,
way.
it's yeah. He's just not he's not in tech. He doesn't know. He's
Yeah.
just an actor, right? So, but he gets invited to the tech event, and he goes and he's like, "So what's your name?" My name is Elon. Oh, cool, man. So what do you do? Um, well, I'm in tech. Cool, man. Cool stuff. Good stuff. It's like, but it's cool, right? I mean, it's um, like
That happens to me, these kind of things as well. Like there was one
yeah.
this football player and stuff. Like I don't know because I'm curious about people, not about full title, and then later on you get because it just first I care who is that person behind that smile or behind that serious face, and if someone is gonna be serious, I would be, huh? Miss your glasses? Cannot recognize anymore. There are some friends I have who wear glasses, and I haven't seen like they're quite known. And I remember after a year, I saw them actually at Web Summit, and I was like, "Whom are you looking for? I'm here. Are the glasses not strong enough?" And then I would just crack it, and then would just, "Oh, that's you," because I always make those silly comments, and that
Mm.
helps to keep the relationship, I think.
What else would you share in terms of meeting very busy, high value people? What could help one to actually start making a connection, make them part of your network?
Mm, that's a tough one, I would say, because these networks are also a bit different, and at the end of the day, they have it all, right? So it means like you really need to know your authentic, true self, and what kind of value do you create, and how can you kind of in a way help. In this case, let's say I have this podcast, so it means I can help you get out your new book out there, or I can help to portray your story in a different way the media used to portray that. Because let's say my podcast is all about more like authenticity, inspiration, underdogs, not about some kind of high level achievements, but more about who you are as a person, and then some kind of practicality. So I guess figure out your authentic self, and what can you how can you create value for those people. Another thing, if they're doing something you would be doing, again, approach them and see how can we collaborate together, maybe, or maybe that person matches with the vibe and he could become your mentor. You never know, after some conversations you've realized like that person really understands me and I really would like him to become my mentor. So that
Yeah, and
could be many
it's a
different
tough one.
ways.
It's a tough one from my experience. You and me, we have the privilege to be in touch and to meet some of the in the industry, probably some of the most impactful
Mm,
people in the world, and um, they're usually humble. They're usually very nice and humble people on the top, but they're also super busy.
yeah,
So for me, my intention is how can I find, as you said, something that currently is their focus, so I can maybe create a little bit of value. Just in
and act
what are you up
fast.
to these days? What are you
Yeah.
up to these days? What's in your mind? Well, we have this new product coming up. Okay, have you talked to this guy? Maybe I can introduce them to somebody, or like I can offer a quick little bit of value. Follow up on LinkedIn, whatever. Just send them whatever I promised, like, and that's it. And just leave it there,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes you can kind of feel the vibe that you meet them at event, but they're a little bit in a rush because maybe they have 22-minute meetings today,
Mhm.
and you don't want to spend a lot of time with them. You can kind of feel it, right? Uh, but how can I quickly generate a bit of value?
Mhm.
And it
But
could be
I think
literally some
when
fun, you know.
yeah, it could be fun. It could be like, so have you eaten? Like, oh, I know this place behind the corner have really good fresh salads. Not only burgers, because for example, I was in a conference, everyone were serving just pizza and burgers. How I got one of the meetings, I was like in the speakers. No, it was actually not even in the speakers lounge. I saw someone also confused, and then apparently he was a high profile speaker. I didn't know. And I said, oh, but I know there's a salad bar behind the corner. Should we go get some food? And then we ended up having a great conversation. Or another thing, if you get into, I think one of the learnings I've got, you in these kind of situations where you connect with someone who, let's say, it's a very mutual win in a way that what you're doing it matches, and you could do some kind of good collab. Act fast. Things move fast, they break fast. Act fast immediately. If you will wait and too long, the opportunity will be a missed shot. So
No, for
that's
sure.
it.
I remember actually at Web Summit last year, I got a chance to meet Klitschko. The
I remember him. Yeah.
so I went there and I didn't act fast. Like I'm he's such. By the way, that guy is such a he has such a presence. He's so kind. I mean, you just see the guy. He's so respectful. He's so
Mhm.
nice. He's taking pictures with everybody. He's taking the time. So I just went to him and have a quick chat, and then I asked him to do a selfie, right? But then I didn't really share anything. Like, I work with Startup Wise guys quite a bit. At the time, they had a really cool program, Growth Ukraine. I've done quite a bit of
Mhm.
work with Ukrainian startups, and I should have just shared some of these things and maybe see if I can collaborate and see, what's on your
Yeah.
mind these days. How can I help you? But I didn't do it. So I was too, and of course there's the security. Other people kind of he needs to go some
Yeah.
places, right? So
And but you've
um,
got the selfie, right?
I did get the selfie, but I didn't really, generate value for him.
Yeah, yeah. But then
You know,
maybe you can generate it now and just share a story with him on LinkedIn. Look, I was so excited to see you that I forgot to
Mm.
tell you the real thing I was thinking about. And because now, the guys are also doing this from Latvia, they're driving the cars to Ukraine again. In June from Tech Chill, there are still things happening. So you never know. We can still do
That's
a
true.
shout out.
That's true. But
Yeah,
again, those of you
I
listening,
know.
don't kind of postpone
Don't
it.
do that. Don't postpone it.
Don't postpone. Just this one little idea. Maybe you want to share something.
Yeah,
Again, more value based, but uh, exchange the contact information, LinkedIn, follow up quickly
yeah.
afterwards.
WhatsApp.
It's WhatsApp,
One
all
of
these
the
kind of
great,
things.
yeah. One of the great tips I have for anyone who is connecting with people and want to make sure that you have the kind of the best outcome out of it. Um, so let's say you're connecting to someone who is meeting a lot of people along the way. The best way to do that, so either of course you have something unique on you, like a colorful jacket could be, but now everybody is with some kind of colorful shoes and jackets. But what I really like to do all the time when I meet someone and we spend at least a few minutes talking, and I see that in the future I would like to continue conversation, or maybe there will be some kind of shared interest later on, I always take a picture and then post on the either LinkedIn or WhatsApp. It depends where did we agree to continue conversation, so we can memorize. So this is it. We met at Web Summit
That's
2023, and yeah, see you when I see you.
the
And this really
selfie is a
helps me to
that's a great
bring back
strategy.
work
Mm.
selfie and where have we met before.
Because people I have seen people, oh, he thinks it's so big person, they don't reply to me. Dude, these people get approached by thousands of
Yeah.
people. I mean, me and Jivile get approached by hundreds of people, which we are not Klitschko, right? Like I get so many emails
No.
and messages, and I don't remember everybody. It's not that I'm arrogant and cool. It's just like you speak in front of 2,000 people, you don't know these people. Even if you had a little chat in the backstage, they know you though. So be kind. Maybe take a message. Say, hey, I met you during your speech there and there. This is another thing you can do.
Mhm.
Generate value. Usually these people are speakers. Okay, take a picture, make a LinkedIn post, and say these are the 3 key learnings from this speaker. Go check out his book. Boom,
Yeah.
immediate value.
And let's say if that happens that you haven't done that and you still meet the same person, or like let's say you meet Stoyan now in another event where he is going, but you really want to talk to him, but you kind of met briefly before, just go and say, Hi, I'm Zivile Einikyte. You might not remember me, but we've met back in 2018 in this conference, and I've been following your journey, whatever, or just that you met before. What does that mean? That it already warms up the conversation, and you don't start over, even though that person might don't really recall you. So I think that's another
And
tip. That don't be
uh,
afraid to tell someone that you where have you met, or I also started doing that. I'm just sorry. Can you remind me where have we met before? Because
mm,
yeah,
hey, it
it's tough
happens.
sometimes.
To build on top of what you said, this is so good. Hey, we met here and there.
Hmm.
Just to build on top of that, if you can be more human and not scare people off, even I mean I get some of these people sometimes, and like people follow me online and then come to my speeches, and they like come, but it's like this starstruck kind of a, oh my god, like, and they get into this kind of energy, right? And it's scary, it's awkward. Don't make it
Uh-huh.
awkward. Just like, even if you meet somebody like, I don't know, Jeff Bezos is speaking at the event, and you have a
Yeah,
this
really.
opportunity, just like I
Just
can
be
speaking to
act
Shivila
normal.
right
Act
now.
normal.
Act normal. Hey man, love your journey. It's super inspiring. Love your latest book. What are you up to
Yeah.
these days? Just and then it's like, okay, finally somebody is not weird. Like,
That's a very good point, actually. I think we tend to, I don't know, like we're all human at the same time, but we tend somehow to put I don't know how to express myself, but to put someone on this kind of a huge stage and to god make it a god. Like it's not. We're all the same. We all have our own paths, doing it different ways. But I think what connects us all that we're in the same planet. So
oh my
trying to do
god,
things.
I used to think as a kid, we were talking about it a little bit, growing in Eastern Europe as a kid, like watching all these, you know, initially movie heroes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone,
Yeah.
those kind of people. And in my mind, it was like there's certain type of people that are just perfect. And then there's
Uh-huh.
the normal people. But then you grow up, and then you start meeting some of these people, like super famous and successful people, and you're like, this person has so many flaws. Like, it's like they're just human as you are. I mean, they're struggling. Everybody's trying to figure it
And
out.
it doesn't
They
take
might
away
be
my life
extremely,
struggles.
maybe they,
It
they,
doesn't
they're
take away. Yeah.
really extremely good in certain area, but there's other areas that they're still learning. They're still humans, and you can help everybody. You can help everybody in a certain way. Sometimes it's the weirdest thing, as you said. You might think that this person needs something with their product, but they're looking for kindergarten for their daughter in Malaga, right?
Mhm.
You don't know, and then you know this one person that can open a door and help them out. So be curious, ask questions, and don't assume that these people are, I don't know, these perfect people that have no flaws.
But talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, have you ever met him?
Actually, no, I would love to.
Not yet. That would be so cool. I think he's
Hmm.
one of the kind who really
Oh
has a
man,
insane story.
if
And
anybody listening to the
7 9
podcast knows
Brazilian,
him, if anybody
please.
listening knows him, so, I mean, we would love to get an introduction, both of us.
Yeah,
So let us know
that
how we can get in touch with Arnold. He's a legend. He's a big inspiration.
totally. He's a good example of just doing things and not
Have you
being
have you seen
suppressed
have
by.
you seen his latest book? Like, he published a latest book, and he's going to all these podcasts, and he's sharing videos with. He has a few animals. I think he has a donkey and like a goat and like a few of these animals he's having in his house now. And I mean, just the guy's
Actually,
just a legend.
he's
Just
a legend. For sure, MVP.
MVP. Talking about MVP, Givile, thanks for
Yeah,
mentioning MVP. A
you're
concept
welcome.
I've been spreading in the past 1 2 years.
Mhm.
Something that really resonated with me. With full transparency, I saw a little video by Alex Cormosi, uh, where, like, a 1 minute video. He probably doesn't even remember he recorded it, but he talked about, if you want to build great connections, you want to put on the hat of the MVP in any room you're getting.
Yeah.
Like, what if your intention when you get into a conference and a business event in a room is, I need to be the biggest value creator. Like, this is your game. It's like a game. Every interaction gives me points. you know
Okay.
I introduced two people, 5 points.
But
I
I
like,
think that we share the same, and that's the most hilarious. I kind of all my friends and also when people from the tech scene, they were like, "Oh, you know the guy, you know the guy," and I ended up being like, "Oh, she knows the guy or the girl." So yeah.
Talk to me about that. How do you become the MVP? Is that your mindset as well when you enter a room, like
No,
subconsciously?
that's very funny. I know it's not my mindset. It's like when I enter the room, I guess I've realized at some point how strong is my energy, and if I would be in a bad vibe, like many people would feel that. So I'm like, what if I turn it and then when I enter, everyone feels good, and then I just shifted that I don't want people to feel really like bad energies from me. So I'm just gonna be myself, happy me in every room I come, and if I have some challenges I'm facing, there is time and place where to face those challenges. But at the end of the day, it's part of my job, as we discussed before, right? Even if you're not feeling well in these kind of jobs, you have to wake up, show up, and own it. Own your story, own who you are, the best version of yourself. Even some circumstances can be difficult. And I think when it comes to this connecting part, which is a thing both of us share, and actually, I recall it back from my childhood and when I was still in high school. I don't know why I have this kind of map in my mind. And I know a lot of people. I would be having a conversation with someone, and someone says, we're struggling now with this marketing program, and we really need someone who is good with performance marketing. And my mind automatically and naturally starts working. This girl is working with performance, this guy, na na na. What if I connect this and that? And then I just like, look, I know this guy and this girl. And I just like, what if you connect guys, you talk to see if it's along the way for you? That's it, done. Bam, bye. I'm happy. And then I go to another room. So, but it's been from early age, I think. I always felt like if we're open, we can create more value. And growing up in the post-Soviet country, where we had this saying that don't tell anybody because I don't know they will spoil it, and that was the kind of the heritage of post-Sovietism. And you being a bit different because of the books you read, the people you talk to, it was quite challenging. And I thought, how can I feel still great in this environment? And I thought, well, I can always do the action myself and lead by example in a way. So I think that was how it was. Yeah.
You can you can get out of Eastern Europe, but you can't get the Eastern Europe out of you, right?
No, no, I mean, like I was moving a lot, but this kind of hustling mentality is still
Hmm.
there. I cannot change it. I
And
really can. I try.
talking about your early years, I have to something to confess. So I was walking this morning with a cup of coffee, and then I met a little bird, and she started speaking with the human voice. And she told me that actually moderation is not something new for you, but you've been a moderator since you were 8, actually moderating TV shows. So I don't know if the bird is correct, but it was a very convincing bird. So mm,
Convincing word, right? Oh, that AI
yes.
is really like powerful right now. It was not a TV show. It was a project that actually was streamed on the TV. But yes, that's correct. The data is right. I was 8 years old when I first time got my event gig. And yeah, and the rest is history. It was a pop music contest, and the producer selected me to join another
How?
co-host. I don't know because they just did
You're
the
8.
test. I was in this music band, pop music band, where we were singing group of children, and then the teacher she had a friend who was a producer, and they were running this music show. And I remember him coming into that producer. He came into the room, and everyone got a piece of paper, and all the kids had to read. For me, reading, I don't know. I was fortunate enough that my dad taught me how to read when I was 5, and I fell in love instantly, and I've never looked back. I was just like the book rat. That's how we would call that. I was always reading something. And of course, for me, it was easy. I'm a fast speaker, fast reader, and like, "Da-da-da-da-dum." And then they said, okay, this girl. And then that's how it all started.
What did you learn?
How to speak slower. Yeah, I mean, like when I get excited, it's still a struggle, but I think on the stage, I really slow down. Um, I think I also learned the art of performance, and while performing, I've been also with different masks and so on. But along the way now, being so many years on stage, I've learned that at the end of the day, no masks will buy anything. You just have to find your own true authentic self, which of course is changing when you are changing and growing, but you just have to stay true to yourself and always do what you like. And the third one, maybe very practical, how to work with events, and that I'm truly passionate about them. So, yeah.
And you've I mean, those of you listening who haven't seen Zivile on stage, she's a bow of energy. I'm gonna give you that. She's super natural and genuine. I just shared that on her podcast as well. By the way, go check out Perception Paradox on your favorite podcast platform, and soon you'll see an episode with a very high energy Bulgarian. So that's
Very
something to
soon,
look forward
actually.
to
Yeah.
very soon. But you've been on stage for so many years now,
Yeah.
and you seem very natural, very genuine on stage. You're really yourself. Mm, what would be your advice to people who might have to speak in public or moderate an event? What would be some practical ideas you can share with them?
How much time do we have? So, I think number one advice would be don't start from big stages if you haven't done this before. It's always good you can push yourself out of the comfort zone, but public speaking is a skill that you really have to develop, master, see how would you react with different set of lights into your eyes. If someone starts, I don't know, throwing to you the shoe, or big music comes out, or the mic doesn't work, you need to set yourself for different situations. And the only way to practice is doing it many times. And if you're really afraid, even the way I kind of got back into events, because I had a break a bit, not doing that actively. And when I was coming back to the startup scene and tech events back in 2018, the way I started were from small community events. It was not immediately big stages. I kind of asked myself, where do I want to be? And I remember I moved to Denmark. I went to tech barbecue and got involved into all the tech scene. And I saw, okay, yeah, that's what I missed. I always thought it's not a career, but it is a career. Maybe I can do it more often and I can maybe even earn money from that. I didn't start straight from putting myself out on big stages. I found some small community driven events where they would challenge me to come and talk about some topic I don't know, to moderate the topic I am not aware of. And I was putting myself in all those uncomfortable situations. And time by time, you're upgrading your skill, you're growing your audience. Okay, but if you're in the station, you're a founder and you really have to go in the front of a big stage and pitch, my best advice to be to hire public speaking coach or performance coach who would help you to prepare rather than you just doing that alone, because you can avoid a lot of mistakes and you can really progress faster. For example, now one of the events I'm preparing, I still have quite some weeks, but it's kind of a bit of a different event, different role. I'm already in my mind visualizing how I'm gonna be performing, what kind of act I want to do. Now, the next step is aligning expectations with organizers. And the third step will be for me to kind of drafting the script and different scenarios. And the fourth will be that I'll myself gonna get someone external, the coach, who would help me to find new colors within my own ways of hosting and moderations. Because it's great to be in comfort, but in any situation in life, we also want to grow and progress because that's the only way to keep forward, I guess. So
And to accelerate the
start
growth,
small,
we
get
want
a
somebody
coach.
external. We want somebody external to point out the things that we might not be able to see. So
Yeah.
beautiful. Love that, Jivile. Okay, look, many of the people part of this podcast, the audience of the podcast, are either founders, entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
or they're ambitious business professionals. And I wonder if you can kind of share some thoughts on what is the what are the benefits of speaking in public and being a guest on podcasts. Could you share, like,
hmm
is that for everybody? Should everybody think about such opportunities? What are the benefits? What could people get out of it?
I mean, what is for everybody, right? Is being a founder is for everyone again. It's I think it's for everybody as long as it's something you want to do. That's it. There is no roadblocks that tells you, no, you cannot do that. It's all about the mastering of skill set and practicing. That's it. So if you want to go on a podcast, you see that you're lacking some communication skills, just make sure you prepare in advance and try to practice. But the reason, I guess, the podcasting stage social media, it's valuable, especially for founders, also venture capitalists and all the different stakeholders, even people like us, is visibility. It's creating your brand, creating your some kind of touch, building the community. Because now to get the service, it's very easy. But if we are experiencing the shit where everything is all about community, and yeah, and I guess if you want to be part of it, you should be seen. And it's not anymore that the best technology wins. Your technology has to have a brand, and it needs personal touch that people can relate to your solution. So many founders have seen kind of avoiding part of branding and communication. And when they start doing that, I've seen some cases in telco where other companies were way faster, not because we had a better product, but because we had better presence in the markets. And that was more than enough. Even for me, like sometimes I'm using some software, the way it's being presented for me can be more important because I'm using it every day. So I want it to look nice. I want to resonate with it, even though it takes longer to execute a roadmap. So I think it's important for everyone to put the effort to show up on stage, maybe to showcase your startup or to go to a podcast to tell your the thing you're working, the thing you're obsessed every day. Is that for everyone from the team? Not necessarily. Don't force someone who doesn't want to do that, but make sure that someone shows up there for you and the team and is visible. Because that's the world we live in. It's digital right now. So you want to make easier for everyone to find you. Either you're looking for an investment or you want to be booked for the conference gig.
And by the way, that's a really good point, because imagine you want to race whatever. What is the bigger chance you get to talk to people? You go and
Yeah,
network in the crowd, talk to people, or you book yourself to speak and you share all this your journey, whatever, and you have like 1,000 people in the audience and 100 of them are investors. What is the chance you're going to book meetings? What is the most effective, more effective way from both? Obviously it's clear. So I know some of you might not be comfortable speaking in public, but if you're a founder, if you're a business leader, it might be part of your job to look for the most productive opportunities, to attract opportunities. So just something to think about. It's not that scary after 5 times you do it. If you're not so comfortable, you might start with podcasts. Book yourself on podcasts. Have somebody from the team reach out to people, get personal introductions, and then share some of the learnings from your journey. And then you know build your brand, build the awareness around yourself, around the
it's
company.
really
um,
crucial. Yeah, it helps you to with sales, helps you with hiring, helps you with in investment rounds as well. Same for investors, being out there on social media, because investors do invest in founders not only for technology. It has to be also a value match most of the times, and vice versa. So they want to know who is behind that. And I guess one of the key learnings literally I've got right now, and if you're stuck, if you're afraid, or if you don't know how, just hire someone who can guide you or who can push you, and including the public speaking, because maybe I've seen and witnessed too many bad public um, appearances on stages, and I'm like, there were moments where I would feel sad a bit that someone is like so badly performing and presenting such a great solution, that I'm like, realize that I will become ambassador. But guys, get a coach, learn how to communicate your ideas, because none of us was born knowing that, but we can all learn that. So
After 30 minutes I finally get what you're doing. It's freaking amazing, but I wish I got it on the minute too, right? Like, I mean, so many of these kind of you sit and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then after 30 minutes, like, wow, this is such a cool product. But it's like, you need to learn how to pitch. You need to learn how to communicate, because I have no freaking idea, you know. So, but
you-
hey, let's
I
kind of
thought you
maybe
were talking about me. I know,
no,
but I
no,
talked a
no,
lot,
no.
and my thoughts are. I was like, oh, so after 1 hour,
Sorry,
now you,
sorry. Like 1 hour. Like, who are you? I mean, I
who
got
are
it.
you? Oh, finally, I've got what you're doing, dear. Great.
Ah, no. Look, Shivile. Thanks so much for being with us. I just want to lose kind of to use the last few minutes to talk about your podcast. And
Yeah.
I just admire the passion you put into organizing your podcast, hosting your podcast,
Thank you.
preparing for it. what excited you to start a podcast, and what has the podcast brought to you since you started?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I already answered to someone that. So, long story short, a few years back, when I really started traveling a lot with the events, I've got myself in the situation where, and it's not pitched, by the way, it's literally how it was. So, I've got myself into a situation where I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting so many incredible people. And the reason, again, why we should all go to those events in person, because it opens up your horizon, it just expands your mind, and you really gain so many different and perspectives and perceptions, everything. Like, and I'm like, I'm meeting so many great people. And for example, I just spoke with John, and John is doing this. What would be so valuable to hear from my friend who is struggling now of changing her career? And I was like, I started writing down those names of people who really inspires me, and I would like more people to hear. And that was 3 years back, I think. And then I thought, how can I make sure that those stories are heard? So I thought, I'm going to do a newsletter or a LinkedIn, some kind of posting or something like that. And back then I said, podcast, another podcast? Nope, never. I mean, like, it's so much, so many of them already. I'm like, no way. And then last year I was in Singapore. I joined Antler as a founder. And I was having this one conversation with a great founder, actually from Denmark. And we were talking about life, about perceptions, about growth. And I told him about this list I had and the idea. And he said, yeah, you should just start a podcast. I was like, no way. No, no, but you should start a podcast. I mean, what you gonna lose? I'm like, and then I decided not to, that building a startup in Asia is not for me. I stepped back and I'm like, maybe I should start a podcast. So I started a podcast. That's it. And the rest is history. And now we have the podcast. And I also had one good reminder from a friend when now anyone who tells me, but you know, there are so many podcasts in the world, like it's so hard to compete and stuff. I'm not competing. I'm bringing out the content here for people who resonates with the content. And there is always someone who resonates and who is missing someone they can connect and um, while listening to some kind of high level podcast, let's say. And then a friend told me, but you know, what if every author who is writing a book would tell, why would I publish this book? There are so many books out there. And I was like, bingo, there was never any single doubt in my life about running a podcast. So,
I love it. I love it. So I want to remind everybody the podcast is called Perception
thanks.
Paradox. Go find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other major podcast platform. Zivile, it's been such a pleasure, as
Likewise.
always, to conversate and go in many directions. But before we go, I just want to give you the space to share with our audience, where could people find you? If you have any cool, exciting project you're working on, just space is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. So I guess Perception Paradox is the best place to find me. You can find me on Perception Paradox website, podcast, at your favorite channel. I've just launched YouTube actually, so I'm uploading all the retrospective old videos. So starting over more media presence because I think I already kind of moved to weekly podcasting, and that's it. And you will find me in some events. One of them will be in Copenhagen at Talent Garden in 1 week and a half about accountability. So if anyone is missing accountability partner to achieve their dreams, so you can follow me on LinkedIn and you will find all the information. It's going to be cool and exciting in partnership with a friend you will hear more about. And yeah, and that's it. I think LinkedIn, it's a great platform.
LinkedIn. And I want to take the moment to also thank you, the audience, the person, the listener who's been with us close to an hour. Thanks for being with us. Episode 184, meaning there's 183 more episodes everywhere on your favorite podcast platform, Productivity Master. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps
Yeah.
us if you subscribe, if you give us a 5-star review. This really helps us to be able to convince amazing people like Zivile to join to the podcast. So please do that. We have a bunch of more exciting guests coming to the podcast, including Guy Kawasaki, including
Woohoo!
David Talon, the who has a new book, by the way, the GTD guy, Getting Things Done guy, is coming back to
Nice.
the podcast on
Amazing.
17th of June. He's going to talk about his new book with his co-author Edward. It's called Team. So they're bringing GTD to a team perspective. By the way, the book is coming out today for those of you listening live. It's 21st of May. So go check that out as well. But thank you for being with us. Let us know how it was. Somebody just wrote, this was insightful, called the last few minutes, but still available inspiration. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us as well.
Thank you for
Um,
being.
let's keep inspiring. Let's keep growing. Let's keep performing.
Yeah, and subscribe to Productivity Mastery. Every subscription really means a lot because it puts out the podcast there to more people. And check
Mm.
out the previous episodes because I listened to a few of them. Not 183 yet. I'm getting there, but a lot of valuable and very practical insights, I would say. So thank you, Stan, for having me. It was a big
Appreciate it,
pleasure.
Juvile. So let's keep performing. Ciao, everybody.
Yay, ciao.